These next 10 houseplant secrets are tips and hacks that will get your plants to thrive, make the process of caring for them more enjoyable, and put you at ease knowing that you're doing all you can to care for them. How many times have you gone to apply your liquid fertilizer and one of two things happens? Either you go crazy looking for a measuring spoon that you can't remember where you put it last time, or even worse, the fertilizer gets all over the place because the mouth of the fertilizer container is too big. I have the solution for you, and it's this transparent tip and measure bottle that solves both of these problems. To use it, all I do is fill my tip and measure bottle with liquid fertilizer, tilt the bottle to the desired amount to fill the reservoir on top of the bottle, which you can see here has different measurements marked, and then open this cap above the reservoir and pour the fertilizer into my gallon of water. This makes the whole process so simple, and most importantly for me, clean. I know, the way I mix my soil, you wouldn't think I cared, but I do. When using this miracle of a bottle, I know I'm putting out the right amount of fertilizer and reducing the possibility of burning the roots of my plants because of too much fertilizer, and I don't make a mess. I'll put a link in the description to my Amazon storefront in case you're interested. Now, we all know our plants need light, water, and fertilizer. But one of the key growth factors that we take for granted and can make all the difference in the survival of a plant is the right soil mix. Choosing the right soil when replacing older, tired soil is a must for any plant parent. But how do you know which is the right soil mix for your plant? Well, to start off with, I suggest you do your research and find out what the water requirements are for the plant you're caring for and what soil mixes are best for your plant. In all of my videos that I repot my houseplants, I give recommendations on mixes to help you out, so that's a good place to start. In general, if you're looking for a component for your mix that'll keep the water in the soil so that it's available to the plant, then I suggest using coir and/or peat for this purpose. If you're looking for components that provide drainage, then look to pine bark, different grades of perlite, and sand. There are other components that are also beneficial, and we'll get to them in another video, but for the most part, these 5 components will provide a good base for most houseplants. Since we're on the topic of repotting, let's talk about pots. And this one tool can help revolutionize the way you care for plants and make your journey more enjoyable. And this tool is clear pots, also known as transparent or see-through pots. Are other pots good? Yes, of course. We can keep using them, they're perfect. But I found clear pots have provided me with several benefits that other pots can't. One of the most remarkable advantages of clear pots is that they allow me to monitor my plant's root system easily. With traditional opaque pots, we're left in the dark about what's happening beneath the surface. However, transparent pots let us keep a watchful eye on our plant's roots. We can observe their growth, health, if they have pests, and even their response to our routine care. I personally use them to take the guesswork out of whether my plants need water by checking the level of moisture in the pot and determining when to water, and whether they're out in the open or in a catch pot. They also have helped me to determine before it becomes a problem if a plant is root bound, or even if for any chance root rot may be setting in. And also, I just like seeing the roots through the pot. After working with plants for so many years, it's like a whole new side of plants have been revealed to me by not only seeing the beautiful foliage and flowers we see above the soil line, but also what's below. If you're interested in clear pots, please check them out on my website at Monstro Farm. I'll put a link in the description as well. Now, the next solution will help make your repotting a bit simpler and help you make less of a mess when repotting. To start, grab a tray to help contain our mess. Then grab our new pot and place it in the tray. Fill it with a little bit of soil. Place the plant with the pot still on top of the soil in the new pot, making sure the top of the pot the plant is in is level with the new pot. And here's the genius to this solution. Don't remove the pot from your plant and continue to add soil all around the pot, slightly compacting the soil in place. Once our new pot is filled with soil, we'll slowly remove our plant with the old pot, and we're left with a hole that's just the perfect size for our plant. Now we'll remove the pot from our plant and place the plant in the hole we just made. Compact the soil all around, take our plant out of the tray, easily clean up our mess, and we have a perfectly repotted houseplant. One of the best things about caring for plants for me is that it allows me to be resourceful and creative and find ways to use things that I would have never thought I could use in this way. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is recycle. There are a few things I wanted to share with you that you could recycle, and the first are plastic bottles, as you just saw. And second, takeout trays, which I like to use to propagate leaf cuttings or to germinate seeds. I used this one a while back to leaf propagate a begonia. You could also use old fruit containers and propagate in the bottoms and the lids as catch trays. I know they don't look the best, but it's better than tossing them in a landfill, And I also use the lids in catch pots that don't have holes, or baskets like this that otherwise would allow the water to go everywhere. And I also use these lids when I bottom water my plants to serve as a temporary catch tray while I'm waiting for the excess water to drain. Now here's a secret if you can't find that one thing you need, but you still want to recycle and save money. And that secret is to try a local thrift store. A few things I've found at the ones near me are propagation jars, domes, baskets, bowls for bottom watering. It's amazing what you can find there. I think I need therapy. And speaking of thrift shops, here's something else I was able to find there. This ecosystem. I paid only $10 for it and it's worth at least $100, and it now serves me as a greenhouse for propagation. If you've ever seen any of my previous videos, you may have noticed that I like to propagate in soil instead of water sometimes, so I can skip a couple steps. But to increase my chances of success, I need to maintain and increase the humidity, so this ecosystem acts as a greenhouse. Depending on which one you get, just seal up the openings and screens with plastic or tape to keep the enclosure sealed, and you're just like the pros. You have your own mini greenhouse. If you're not using clear pots, and even if you are, and you're just getting started, there is one tool I suggest you get yourself as soon as you can. And that's either a wooden dowel or skewer, or if you want to go high tech, you can splurge on a moisture meter like this one. Check it out on my Amazon storefront. The way I use these is simple. With the dowel, I stick it in the soil all the way down to the bottom, and when I pull it up, I look at the dowel to see how the moisture marks on the dowel. In this case, it's 50% dry, so it's time to water for this particular plant. And the moisture meter works by placing the probe in the soil and reading the meter before pulling it out. Again, if the reading is within range that you should be watering your plant, then water it. And now you have a very important decision to make, and that's how do you water your plant? The big question in the houseplant community is to top water or to bottom water. I'll tell you this, both methods work, but the real question is what works for you. Each has their pros and cons. If you have catch pots on all your plants and toss out the water left in the bottom of the pot after it drains from your nursery pot, or you like to take them to the sink and water from above, top watering is usually faster and it works. But now, if you want to make sure you thoroughly wet the pot, either because you're paranoid like me, when you water your plant, the water channels through the soil because it's hydrophobic, which basically means the soil's having a hard time absorbing water, or you want to try to prevent fungus gnats by keeping the top layer of soil drier, then I suggest you bottom water. Or here's another method I use that's a combination of the two and has worked for me for years. I start off like I'm bottom watering by placing my plant in a bowl. I then water from the top as if I was top watering and allow the water to pool in the bowl. I then let the plant sit there for about 5 minutes as opposed to 10 to 15 minutes I would do if I was bottom watering. And after, I put it on one of my recycled lids we talked about earlier to allow the excess water to drain. Doing it this way gives me the best of both worlds. I can thoroughly saturate the soil from the bottom and at the same time make the process go faster, which I definitely try to do to get through all my houseplants. And as long as we're talking about water, do this at least once every 2 months. Your plants will love it. It's actually 3 steps and do them in this order. Take them in the shower or go outside to a hose and water them with a volume of water that's 2 times the size of the pot. This is called leaching, and it'll help get rid of any excess salts that may have built up from using tap water or excess fertilizer, which if you don't do could lead to you seeing the edges of your leaves burned or even the roots burning. Second, tilt the plant sideways and water the foliage. Try to hit the underside of the leaves while trying to keep the water from falling in the soil. During the second stage, we're trying to knock off any pests the plant may have and prevent them from falling in the soil. And third, place the plant on the ground and water the foliage from above to remove any dust and debris that may have accumulated. And now let's talk about the pink elephant in the room, and that is self-watering pots. In reading about them online, you hear mixed reviews, but a lot along the lines of these pots don't work or they killed my plants. Now, I can't speak for all self-watering pots out there, but I can tell you I have had success with a design that consists of a larger pot and a nursery pot inside of it, with a simple wick hanging down the bottom. This ponytail's been with me now for over a year, and you can see how large the root ball is in regards to the pot. And although this species doesn't require a whole lot of water, I have been able to maintain it by simply filling the reservoir and allowing the wick to take up the water it needs. So far so good, so far no root rot. And I can tell you, if it weren't for this tiny wick here, this plant would be dead. I've forgotten about it so many times sitting in a corner. It's definitely not for every plant, but I'll keep trying it on other plants to see if I can find what works for other plants and share it with you when I do. Just like I did when I shared this next video you're going to want to watch on how to propagate snake plants. Watch it and let me know what you think.